Hello, would everyone please take their seats? We are about to begin the live stream. Thank you, everyone.
All good, Philippa? Yep. My mic's on? Excellent. Okie dokie then. Good afternoon, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Before we begin, and on behalf of all of those present, I'd like to pay respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. It's upon their ancestral lands that, of course, UTS stands. Similarly, pay respects to elders both past and present, acknowledging them as the traditional custodians of knowledge of this place. And as this is live streamed, I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the various lands for all of our online guests joining today. A very warm welcome to you all. It is fantastic that despite the circumstances, we're still able to invite friends, family, colleagues to celebrate with us today, for all of us in the hall and for those of you who are seeing this online. It really is important at times to pause and to celebrate the incredible achievements that you've made, the incredible achievements that your colleagues have made, the incredible achievements that as a community UTS has been able to do for our students. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Every year I say to Shirley, this is my favourite event. I'm allowed to have one favourite child perhaps. So this is my favourite event of the whole year. And now while this event is a celebration of your hard work, importantly it's also a recognition of a leadership that you have all shown, a leadership across the university in our learning and teaching. Over the last 12 months, we've all faced monumental challenges. The world has changed in a very rapid way. And so too is the way that we teach, the way that we provide learning for our students. Your hard work, and particularly parts of last year, your incredible persistence, perseverance, and creativity has been paramount to helping the university overcome these challenges and to continue to provide a world-class education for our students, whether that be in the classroom or in the virtual classroom. It is important to note that UTS's transformation didn't start with COVID-19, nor will it stop. We'll continue to strive for improvement and innovation for many years to come. It's the foundation of who we are as a university. So every time we think we've got it right, we'll reflect on it and do it better again. At the heart of UTS 2027 is this transition to a lifetime of learning. We're driving this transformation by curating and supporting learning and professional development for our students throughout their entire lives. And as you know better than most, the key to that is also partnering with industry and with others to evolve traditional learning methods to provide learning experiences that more relevantly face today's challenges, to enable those in society to change, and importantly, to help people think about what the challenges are in the future. So it is always, I think, one of the most incredible things that you are able to do as educators is to fast forward into the future and think, what are the challenges going to be and what do we need to do now to help prepare our students, our community to face those challenges that come. It's our commitment to innovation and evolution that will require us to help equip our students with the skills and capabilities to, as I said, not just help them in the workplace today, but the workplaces of the future. Not just help them in their lives today, but in their lives in the future. And each and every one of you in the learning and teaching community across UTS has been instrumental in ensuring that our graduates are able to thrive. The recipients we recognise today, and importantly their innovations, are once again, as is with every year, stellar examples of the innovation we do across the university, and particularly this year about how we're going to transform to a lifetime learning. Just some of the examples we'll hear are enhancing in-curriculum career education, developing skills in critical and abstract thinking by taking a holistic and life-thinking approach, facilitating institutional reflection on Aboriginal sovereignty, and transforming students into transdisciplinary future thinkers, again, enabling them to think about the way the world is going. I want to stress, as I always do, that today's recipients are not alone in their extraordinary efforts. I am incredibly proud and grateful for all the enormous effort, hard work from each and every one of our teaching and learning community across the university. As well as a great disruptor, COVID-19 has proven to be an accelerator of many of the trends we saw that were happening pre-COVID. So we now have a fantastic opportunity to use the lessons we've learned over the last 12 months to continue to innovate, to lead the way of the future education, both in the physical and digital. By coming together today as a community and sharing our experiences, hopefully we'll be able to foster this excitement in others. You'll be able to share your vision with others. You all play an integral role in creating an inspiring learning environment for our students, for our colleagues. So I'd like to wholeheartedly thank each and every one of you for your ongoing contributions. Thank you kindly. I now apparently meant to throw, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to throw Shirley, but I'm throwing to Professor Shirley Alexander, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Education and Students.
Thank you, Attila, for not throwing at me. I just want to say how wonderful it is to see everyone here in person. It's one thing to see everyone on Zoom, but I have to say you all look so much better in person than you do on the Zoom screen. So thank you all so much for coming. I also want to acknowledge a number of my senior executive colleagues who are here. The Provost, Professor Andrew Parfitt, is here. Our DVC International, Ian Watt. Our DVC Patrick Woods, DVC Resources. And we've got a couple of deans, Alan Davison from FAS and Carl Rhodes from Business. So thank you very much for coming. I know a couple of deans are in isolation, having been in Brisbane on the weekend. So we're glad they're not here. So I'm going to start out with our citations, and the citations are awarded for those who have made a significant and sustained contribution to student learning, student engagement and student experience by individuals and teams. So in 2020, the Teaching and Learning citations are awarded to Dr. Chris Bajada, Dr. Sonika Singh, Dr. Walter Jarvis and Rowan Traylor from the UTS Business School. Timothy Boy from the Faculty of Engineering and Information Technology. From the Faculty of Health, we have Dr. Cherie Lucas, Dr. Carolyn Hayes, Dr. Tamara Power, Dr. Caleb Ferguson, Dr. David Kennedy, Gail Forrest, Professor Bronwyn Hemsley, Dr. Amy Freeman Sanderson and Michelle Courtney Harris. So I hope there'll be appropriate social distancing. From the Faculty of Science, we have Associate Professor Simon Mitrovic. From the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Dr. Beata Mueller and Associate Professor Susan Aguro. Next we have Nina Smith, who's from the Faculty of Design, Architecture and Building. Dr. Linda Steele from the Faculty of Law. And from the UTS Business School, we have Christina Voivoda. So please join me in congratulating all of our citation winners again. It's very loud clapping, Attila. I would now like to award our Teaching and Learning Awards. So these awards recognise learning and teaching for undergraduate and postgraduate students within the framework of the UTS model of learning and the Learning Future Strategy. Each winner or winning team will provide us with a 3-minute presentation about their award-winning teaching or project. The first award is for academic support, and I'm very pleased to announce that that is awarded to the UTS Careers team, comprising Sam Berry, Helena Asher-Chiang, Claudia Cowell, Stephanie Gonzalez, Candy Jenkins, Steph Miller and Ruth Wilcock, for enhancing student employment and confidence within curriculum career education. As you know, the UTS Careers team inspires students to explore their life and career option and to develop their employability skills and build confidence to navigate their future by embedding career education within the curriculum at UTS. Congratulations to the team.
Navigating transition points such as starting and finishing uni, deciding a profession, or making a career change can be challenging. UTS Careers has an aim to equip all students with knowledge and methods for finding their way and developing their career. This involves an understanding that we need to build self-awareness, understand our career options, make decisions, and take action to transition to next steps. By embedding this career education within degrees, we can ensure that all students have access to this important learning. It's a lifelong learning approach that extends beyond just getting the first job. Students take this knowledge with them so that they're empowered to design their careers well into the future. A key element of our work is to provide meaningful work-integrated learning with an aim of supporting students to have purposeful, ongoing connections with the professional world. The careers topics included in these subjects help guide students through preparation for their professional experience to reflect and gain insights. Some examples of activities include reflecting on pride moments, where students share examples of achievements with their peers and help each other to identify their interests and their strengths and their transferable skills, building self-awareness. Students also discuss challenging workplace scenarios and brainstorm solutions for tackling them. We've been able to invite industry reps into the classroom for interviews and discussion panels and to support students with their projects to help them gain a real world view of different types of careers. To support this learning, we've developed career education modules in Canvas, which can be utilised by subject coordinators and customised for subjects, providing an engaging blended learning experience. Most recently, we've been introducing career and life design at UTS. Career decision-making is a wicked problem in that it has no one perfect solution. With the world of work constantly changing, we found that the design thinking approaches of ideating and prototyping are helpful ways of working with students as they explore their careers. The design mindset of radical collaboration has also been particularly relevant in encouraging students to work with each other and work across disciplines to share ideas and identify next steps. We started to build a dedicated network of staff, alumni and employers that we're calling our Career Activators Network. And with them, we're providing a range of learning opportunities for students in the curriculum and alongside for exploring their careers. On behalf of the team of careers consultants receiving this award, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our manager, Julianne Katrupi, and the Director of Student Services, Brett Smout, for their wonderful leadership and support. Thank you also to our colleagues, including the academics and professional staff within the faculties who have worked with us and endorsed us for this award. We're very lucky to have such fantastic partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Our next award is the Early Career Teaching High Commendation, and this is presented to George Harb from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences for educating students to embrace 21st century skills and effect positive change. George is a science and maths teacher, we need more of you, who has 20 years experience in secondary schools. Since 2017, he has worked with subject coordinators in FAS and in doing a redevelopment of the M-Teach program to enhance the teaching practices of pre-service teachers. Congratulations on your high commendation.
Good afternoon, Vice-Chancellor, Professor Alexander, ladies and gentlemen. In autumn 2020, we were confronted with an unprecedented challenge, COVID-19. At the time, I was coordinating the subject Professional Experience and Classroom Management 2 in the Master of Teaching in Secondary Education program. A mandatory requirement for this subject was for students to successfully undertake a professional experience placement. The students enrolled in this subject were final year students, expecting to complete their studies by the end of autumn session. The pandemic presented three immediate challenges for this cohort of students. The first challenge was the transitioning from on-campus face-to-face learning to fully online. The second challenge was the suspension of professional experience that was scheduled from 4 May to 12 June. A reasonable and justified decision under the circumstances. The third challenge, because of professional experience being suspended, was for these final year students to successfully complete their course by the end of the autumn session and hence be in a position to seek employment in the second half of 2020. In autumn 2020, we were confronted with some challenges, but challenges provide opportunities. Firstly, it was an opportunity for me to adapt and to demonstrate to our students effective online teaching and learning. This included implementing and modelling contemporary educational technologies and digital pedagogies. Secondly, it was an opportunity for our students to extensively engage with the online environment. The tutorials provided students with numerous online experiences, both as students and as the teacher. Furthermore, an assignment was modified to give students the opportunity to deliver full lesson completely online, employing contemporary educational technologies and digital pedagogical practices. In consultation with some principals, including some ex-colleagues, I quickly learned that many schools were finding it challenging to adjust and to deliver quality online teaching and learning. I was extremely confident that our students had considerable experience in this space, although in a relatively short period of time, they were classroom online ready. I suggested to these principals the possibility of our students assisting their staff. The principals, following discussions with their respective executives and staff, accepted the offer. This was an exciting opportunity for our students, not only to undertake their final practicum, but more importantly, to genuinely lead in the online environment. The positive impact of our students was significant. Firstly, the entire cohort of students had been placed in a school. A significant proportion, 80% of the cohort, accepted their placement. 1 in 5 students, however, had some reservations and declined their placement, postponing it to spring. Secondly, in relation to the 80% of students who accepted their placement, 100% successfully completed their practicum, thus completing the subject Professional Experience in Classroom Management 2 and their course as was originally planned by the end of the autumn session. Thirdly, and most importantly, all the students who successfully completed their practicum had a teaching job for the commencement of Semester 2, 2020. In fact, a significant proportion of them were offered continuing positions at the school where they undertook their final professional experience. This was testament to their outstanding online teaching and learning and the significant positive impact they had at their respective schools during their professional experience and during an unprecedented and challenging times for education. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Now we have our Early Career Award, and that goes to Dr. Andrea Giovanetti from the UTS Business School for designing the course in Behavioural Economics at the Business School to introduce students to the art of abstract thinking by means of a holistic and life-driven approach. Andrea is a postdoc research associate in the School of Economics in the Business School. He teaches in that area of behavioural economics, which he has redesigned to increase communication, improve engagement with abstract concepts, and introduce the idea of ethical teaching. His passion for the subject led to the foundation of the UTS Behavioural Economics Society. Congratulations. And we will now hear from Dr. Giovanetti.
Thank you. The picture you see behind me is an algorithmic extrapolation of all SF comments I receive for behavioral economics. To some extent, you can think of it as a contextual word cloud. In the picture, each dot is a concept extract from the text, and each arrow connecting 2 dots is a logical connector. The larger a dot, the more mentioning of the underlying concept by students. I think all of us would get structurally similar maps. That's why, to some extent, it's interesting. We can see 5 constellations of ideas if we buy the story behind the algorithm. There is one for the subject in pink, one for the lecturer in green, one for the lecturers in orange, and then there's things related to exams and assessment with all the stressful words on the extreme right. As you see, these 5 families are separated, but as you can see, there's a few concepts in the center. These words are not very frequent, and yet they are important because they bridge across different constellations of idea. In other words, there are a few recurrent notions that guide the discourse of our students. I will discuss my contribution in relation to 3 of these: communication, experience, and life. A preliminary problem for students' experience is that students-lecturer communication is sometimes very illiquid. Real-time feedback is sporadic and generated by a specific subset of students. As a result, it's hard to even understand what is not working when things don't work out. To address this, I give students a set of anonymous feedback channels. This can be unguided, such as anonymous feedback boxes, or context-specific. For example, students are asked to grade the degree of complexity and hardness of the various topics. Liquid communication, on the other hand, enables dialogues. And dialogues are very beautiful things because these can be circulated in the form of iterative question and answer newsletters. And this simplifies the transmission of complex and elaborate notions. This is important because complexity and more in general, the repulsion to quantitative abstraction is one of the main obstacles to students' experience in this type of courses. I address this with a variety of tools. Let me touch just two of my strategies. First, all mathematical exercises are contextualized within the framework of the personal lives of a small number of characters. It's storytelling. Each character faces realistic decision-making problems. As students proceed through the module, the problems faced by various characters get more sophisticated and intriguing, while the storytelling guarantees a sense of continuity to the learning experience. When we do mathematical exercises, in fact, we have a modular approach. That is, we make exercise more complex as the module proceeds. Nothing prevents us from adding interesting stories to that. Second, rather than deflecting complexity and considering it a bad word, we openly embrace it as a constituent element of reality so that we can spend an equal amount of time in discussing both positive results but also negative results. That is, what works, what does not work, and what cannot work. Students particularly appreciate the idea that science is a process, or actually it's a fragile process that we have to honor. The dialogic method adopted in class has progressively been expanded during the years. In 2019, the process autonomously led to the foundation of the Behavioral Economics Society by a group of enthusiastic students. I want to remark I have absolutely no merit on that. The society now hosts high resonance workshops with world-leading scholars. A recent one featured Prof. Badley and Prof. Susten, former advisor of Obama administration, and is currently providing an excellent discussion arena and testing ground for students belonging to the next cohort. So it's actually implying that knowledge is transferring across generation, and this is actually formation of new knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next award is for teaching by a casual or a sessional staff member, and this award goes to Dr. Alex Thompson from the Faculty of Science for putting the ist in scientist, driving... I took a breath. I'll try not to do that next time. Driving authentic opportunities for curiosity. Dr. Thompson is a sessional academic in the School of Life Sciences who's taught across 10 subjects since 2013. She communicates complex topics to students in their language and encourages them to feel capable of contributing meaningfully to the scientific community. Alex receives consistently positive feedback that she is motivating and an inspiring influence on their experience within the science faculty. She's been involved in many projects with university-wide impact, and in 2018 she was a member of the team that won the UTS Team Teaching Award. So I congratulate you on this individual award.
So, for those of you who know me, which I know many people in this room, I have taught casually across 10 different subjects within science since I first began teaching in 2013. My involvement, however, in teaching has varied from tutoring and demonstrating, being a learning and teaching adjunct, developing course materials, being part of a teaching and learning research project, and finally delivering lectures and coordinating subjects. I'm sure most of the people in this room will agree it's a little bit odd presenting in front of physical people, and I haven't done this in a little while, so please forgive me if I'm a little bit rusty. I am deeply passionate about teaching science to university students. I believe helping students to be motivated and passionate can really only come across if you are as equally passionate about teaching them. I'm driven to involve students in the scientific process and involve them in steering the class, and to get them thinking about their own scientific career paths. My approach to teaching has been strongly influenced by my own experiences at university, my involvement in teaching and learning projects, and engagement with the students that I teach with. I strongly believe that the common theme between science students is their desire to be curious about the world around them and about their careers, and it's something that I try to encourage in every subject that I work within. One key aspect of teaching is trying to get students to drive their own learning. Any subject I teach, whether it's the first time I teach it or the fifth, is a little bit different because of the students that I teach. I'm a big advocate of involving the demonstrators and teaching associates in my subject to help drive the subject and to help new activities arise as we develop the understanding of the students. I have another role at the university where I integrate quite closely with industry, and it's something that I help to drive my teaching of students within science. One of the experiences of these was helping students to create their own startups around biotech and encouraging them to pitch to audiences of industry leaders so that they could get the experience of understanding what their careers in science could look like. Pressing the wrong button. With COVID-19, we had to integrate some new teaching strategies within science to encourage students to still collaborate with each other as well as feel supported. Running field work over Teams is a very tricky thing to do, but we were able to do this with the absolute collaboration of our teaching staff and also the students themselves. Oh, I've gone too far now. That's great. I just want to end by saying that as a casual and sessional teacher, I wouldn't be here without the support of many people in this room who've been able to support me and my teaching endeavours across my career in science, and I just wanted to say a big thank you for that.
Thank you, Alex, and may I say, not rusty at all. Our next category of award is Contribution to Social Impact in Learning and Teaching, and this is presented to Ian Higgins from the UTS Business School for boosting UTS alumni learning through real-life board experience. Ian Higgins is an industry academic in the business school, having spent the past 30 years as a CEO in the not-for-profit sector. In 2016, he introduced the UTS Board Volunteer Program that provides UTS alumni from the MBA with 12 months' experience on a not-for-profit board. And in Australia, that program is unique to UTS. And perhaps one of the greatest achievements is that 4 of the participants in the program have been offered full board positions. And to top that, all of them women. Congratulations, Ian.
Vice-Chancellor, Professor Alexander, and if she's watching, Professor Sarah Denise. Thanks indeed for this award for the UTS Board Volunteer Program. At its simplest, the Board Volunteer Program provides UTS business alumni with unparalleled on-the-job board experience to enhance their further career development, while at the same time they solve sticky problems for Australian not-for-profits. The deal is that selected UTS alumni, as Shirley mentioned, get 12 months non-voting board experience in return for spending 100 hours on an issue that the community organisation needs help with. And of course, most not-for-profits have powerful business people on their boards, which hence enhances the alumni's experience. This is how the program works. The not-for-profits define a project they want help with. They select a volunteer from our pool of MBA alumni. They induct the volunteer onto their board. What we do is to help define their project, if necessary, select a short list of mature, appropriately skilled volunteers for their consideration and choosing, and the matching really is a key element of it. We select a mentor to complement the alumni's skills, and then check on progress throughout the 12 months of the project. What the volunteers do is simply to sign a confidentiality agreement and commit to both attending regularly board meetings and also to allocating the 100 hour or plus hours to the project itself. So, organisations who have or are now participating in the program include Choice, Royal Far West, Good Environmental Choice Australia, the B. Miles Foundation, the National Association of Community Legal Centres, Barnardo's Redfern Legal Centre, the Glycemic Index Foundation, and Surf Lifesaving New South Wales. And so far, as noted, half the alumni who've completed projects have gained full board positions, all of them women. Here's how participating alumni helped 3 of the organisations. So with B. Miles, the alumnus introduced, in fact, their very first ever marketing strategy. For Royal Far West, an alumnus developed an automated reporting system to enhance the integrated information flow to the board and CEO, both financial and other KPIs. And for Choice, the alumnus developed a new technology strategy and developed new staff positions. So the benefits to UTS are, as mentioned, it's unique to UTS in Australia. It powerfully demonstrates UTS's commitment to external engagement, to lifelong learning, and our commitment to not only to our alumni, but also to the wider community. It's low cost. The program fees offset the program's cost to UTS, and I've been running it on 1 day a week initially, and now 2. So if resourced and promoted, I believe it offers UTS huge brand value and enormous student recruitment and other benefits. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ian. I have to say my first job out of my undergraduate IT degree was to be the IT person at Choice magazine. The thought of it horrifies me now, the only person. Our next award goes to is the award of Strengthening the UTS Model of Learning Award, and this goes to Dr. Suzanne Pratt, Dr. Deirdre Clyte and Claire Marshall from the Transdisciplinary School for transforming the Bachelor of Creative Intelligence and Innovation students into transdisciplinary future thinkers. Dr. Pratt and her team teach a studio subject called Envisioning Futures in the BCII. Students explore ideas emerging from industry and academic practices, articulate original ideas in response to challenges, and examine real-world implications. The subject culminates in a public showcase with audiences from across UTS, industry and community networks. Congratulations.
Thank you for this award and recognition from myself, Deirdre, who are both lecturers in TD School, and also Claire Marshall, who joined as a tutor in 2018 and loved it so much she is now doing a PhD in transdisciplinary futures with us. So a key focus of this subject, Envisioning Futures, is on developing students' capacity to become transdisciplinary futures thinkers who can harness opportunities in uncertain times. For the purposes of this short award, I'm going to focus on two key dimensions, and you can see some of the fabulous futures, experiential futures showcases that some of the students develop on those photos. First, envisioning futures invites imaginative and creative approaches to thinking about the future of work, industries, precincts, and whole sectors. The first time it ran, students gave feedback questioning the relevance of this imaginative work. In response, we've built in interconnected, authentic assessments with industry and community partners, such as City of Sydney, Celestino and Cairo on Sydney Science Park, leading to students collaborating and working with these partners even after the subject has ended on different projects and events with them. The stronger links to research and professional practice have led to improving learning experiences, as evidenced by the student feedback on the slide. Secondly, we were then faced with our own uncertain times last year during the pandemic, pirouetting rapidly as the first block mode subject in the faculty to run completely with delivery fully online in 2020. We used Canvas and other platforms to harness the online environment and push the boundaries of experiential audience engagement in online learning. We also pushed our own creative boundaries by, for example, including a welcome video set to a modified ABBA song to set the playful spirit. Shout out to Claire and my other tutors, Mel Rumble and Jan A. Leslie, for joining me in this to set the scene for the students and welcome them into these online experiences. As seen in the comments and the slides, students valued how we brought in world-leading guests via Zoom from around the world and leveraged resources such as the Futures Playground, developed in partnership with students over the years. We are very proud that our innovations in synchronous and asynchronous curricula and resources are being shared and adapted with TD School and UTS more broadly, leading to mutual learning and impact for students, staff, and industry partners. Thank you also to all of the curious colleagues, students, and partners, in particular the advocacy and support of our BCII course director, Bimla Hunt, and the strategic partnerships team, especially Amanda McGregor and Sabrina Eulis. And also really want to do a shout out to the fabulous UTS Alex Lab team who were indispensable last year and this year. It is fantastic to be receiving this award in recognition of how we've generated opportunities for staff, students, and partners to collectively grapple with how we might create futures worth wanting and support creative confidence for a lifetime of learning. Thank you.
Our next award is for integration of Indigenous capabilities into the Curriculum Award. And this goes across faculties. Dr. Tamara Power from the Faculty of Health, Gabriel Clark from the Faculty of Design, Architecture and Building, and Dr. Danielle Romek from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences for facilitating institutional reflection on Aboriginal sovereignty. So the project Back to Country, a reflection on sovereignty, is from the Faculty of Health Indigenous Graduate Attribute and a first-year experience grant that was led by Dr. Tamara Power, a Wiradjuri nursing academic. The work led in the development of the mindfulness scripts and guided visualisations of UTS and the city, transporting students into the pre-colonial past to experience the land that they were learning on. These mindfulness sessions are now a resource that represents interdisciplinary collaboration that is inclusive of industry and the Aboriginal artistic community. Congratulations, and we're going to hear from Tamara Power. But come on to the team.
Thank you. Sorry, a bit short. So before we begin, we would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on Aboriginal land. We gather today on the unceded lands of the Gadi Nation, whose songlines speak of this country's creation. They are the traditional custodians of knowledge for this place. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today, and those listening online. My name is Tamara Power. I'm a descendant of the Wiradjuri people. The team consists of myself, Ewan Woman, Danielle Romick, and Gabriel Clark. Unfortunately, Danielle can't be with us today. The project started as a first-year experience grant for a nursing subject called Communication and Diversity, and these scripts were designed to get students to engage respectfully, which were often sensitive topics. We began each tutorial by reading a 10-minute mindfulness script that slowed them down and immersed them in a reflective space prior to engaging with the course content. So Back to Country was originally designed to get students to reflect on Aboriginal sovereignty before we discussed Aboriginal health. And then Danielle, Gabe and I started collaborating across faculties a couple of years ago. So I was using the Back to Country script with nursing students, and Danielle was using it with architecture students. So there was a great deal of interest in using the script in other faculties. However, non-Indigenous academics often felt that they lacked the cultural authority to read it. So in response to this, we sought to refine and improve the mindfulness script by recording it professionally. So consequently, we successfully applied for a Vice-Chancellor's Learning and Teaching grant, and working with Aboriginal artists, industry, collaborators, and UTS data, arena and media staff, we produced a standalone MP3 audio, recording it as an immersive 16-channel audio version designed for the data arena. Yes. Good job.
So we would also like to acknowledge our collaborators. A project like this doesn't actually work in isolation. It is a team of people who come together to make something. Key to that is Darug Gundungara and Ewan Elder, Uncle Greg Sims, whose voice is you can hear in the audio, welcoming country in language. Ewan, artist and actor, Georgia Willis, and we also collaborated with industry, ABC award-winning audio engineer Martin Peralta, and FBI radio and podcast producer Zach Rosen, and Maddie Lyons, who contributed to the original script. We thank Professor Susan Page for being our referee on the nomination, and we'd also like to thank the first-year teaching experience and Vice-Chancellor's Learning and Teaching Grant Committees for funding the project, with a special mention to Kathy Eager, who supported the creative endeavour. And so also none of this work could have been possible without the guidance initially from DAB staff in production support. So Jason Benedek and the team there. We're also in the data arena where we designed and created a 16-channel surround sound immersive experience of the audio. The staff there particularly like to acknowledge Thomas Ricciardelio and Ben Simmons, and also William Lawlaw, who runs the Media Lab in FAS. So the Back to Country in its current state was first used in summer school for the Bachelor of Creative Intelligence and Innovation by Deirdre Cleegty. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. That was probably awful. So the feedback that she shared with her permission, and it states, "I think it set the tone for everything else that happened that day and every other class we've had since. It was probably one of the most powerful reflections on the country that I've ever witnessed. There was quite a different presence to everything else that was talked about later that day. Students have spontaneously picked up on the importance of Aboriginal knowledges and perspectives. We couldn't have started it in a better way." So you can access Back to Country by visiting back2.country. It's a URL, so if you want to actually listen to it. It's a 11-minute audio piece. We also have screenings happening in the data arena for NAIDOC Week in July, so if you keep your eyes open, and if you ever want to actually experience it or see it, reach out to me, find me. I'm happy to show you to people there. So it's a resource that's available, so we would like people to use it. So in closing, we would just like to remind you all that UTS stands on Aboriginal land. It always was and always will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next award is the Team Teaching Award. And this goes to the teaching team for arguments, evidence and intuition, led by Associate Professor Mary Copeland. Unfortunately, there are 19 members of the team, and so I'm not going to read them all out, but I just want you to take a second to read the names of all those people, and they're all sitting down that row, so you can go and talk to them afterwards. And this award is for developing student skills in quantitative literacy and critical thinking. Arguments, evidence and intuition was developed as a pan-university subject to boost the numeracy of UTS graduates. The subject is taught through the Faculty of Science with a focus on mathematical and data literacy, using and interpreting statistics in professional and everyday contexts. It has been developed between IML and science with a range of academics from FIAT, the TD School and FAS teaching in the subject, as well as KIC, and with support from the learning design teams in IML and PG Futures. As a team, the AEI approach is to see this kind of literacy as a social practice that bridges between mathematics and the real world. So congratulations to everyone sitting down here and to Mary Copeland.
Vice-Chancellor, Professor Alexander, colleagues and friends. On behalf of the teaching team, and please stand up, guys, those of you who are here, will wave, thank you. I'm sorry you can't be all up on stage. So, on behalf of the team, known for the subject Arguments, Evidence and Intuition, known as AEI, thank you for this award. The subject truly is a team effort. As Shirley mentioned, initially developed by KIC and IML to address needs for a pan-university subject to boost numeracy competencies. But we always focus on the literacy rather than the calculations, and on using and interpreting statistics rather than running numbers through the computer. Although I must say it's interesting to see some of the FAS students engaging with Excel and really getting interested in the output sometimes. Simon Housego, formerly in the Institute for Interactive Media and Learning, led much of the early development. Neela Griffiths, also from IML, has guided the teaching team over many years to ensure that our learning tasks align with our objectives. This is our favourite subject feedback survey quote. AEI is a cross-faculty collaboration with significant input from Paul Kennedy in the Faculty of Engineering and IT. Paul brings his expertise as a data scientist and inspires the students with stories about applying data analysis in health and medicine. And we go right up to the beginnings of machine learning with Paul. In contrast, Jenna Price from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences had students on their feet debating topical issues, but backing up their arguments and claims with data. Simon Knight from the Faculty of Transdisciplinary Innovation strengthened the analysis of logical fallacies and cognitive biases that we address in the subject and developed interactive data sets. Now, the mention of intuition in the title of the subject refers to the fact that our intuition can be led astray, often because of sampling errors if we're talking about numbers, or a misunderstanding of probability. And our expert here is Stephen Woodcock from the Faculty of Science, a statistician and an engaging communicator. We include considerations of Indigenous perspectives. Kat Kute has students working in groups to research data stories around matters that Aboriginal people have raised as issues of concern. The subject works best in our large collaborative teaching spaces. When we had to move to online delivery early last year, we were delighted to be matched with Rory Green. Rory showed us how to leverage technology to scaffold deeper understandings, and Rory was a fantastic member of the team. I think this next slide shows one of the Canvas pages that we created, and there's a short video of Steve Woodcock and then some exercises and some engagement always on nearly every page. The tutors. The tutors are wonderful. They have developed expertise in managing student discussions and are generous with their time outside of class. They rose magnificently to the challenge of engaging students online. I've run out of time, so I'm just going to use first names. Marco, Hadir, Pranathi, Nahid, Coral, Karen, Visali, Maria, and Usha. You are a wonderful team of dedicated educators. Special thanks to Usha for encouraging new tutors and taking on the subject coordination role, as has Visali. Special thanks to Marco and Coral for taking on large roles in the move to online learning. Coral has been a mainstay of the subject over many years, bringing a creative but also a detailed approach to every task. Thank you, Shirley, for this award, but also for your encouragement and support of the subject. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. And once again, it's really wonderful to see so many people from so many different faculties working together on this subject. It's really wonderful. And our final award is the Individual Teaching Award, and this goes to Katerina Petrau from the Faculty of Science for enabling student ownership of learning in marine biology. Katerina is the subject coordinator and lead lecturer for marine communities, which is a core subject in the Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology. She has reinvented coursework and structure to include contemporary approaches to learning to improve the student experience and outcomes. Katerina makes use of exercises that are reflective, provide immediate feedback, formative assessment, and a strong component of practical work that relates to what marine scientists do. Congratulations.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I am a staunch advocate of active learning. My approach to teaching is centred on posing questions to provoke thoughtful interaction. There are three key things that I do to encourage dialogue and student ownership of learning. The first is to inspire. No matter how dry or detailed the topic, by bringing my enthusiasm and passion, as well as providing context and placing the topic in a bigger picture, motivates students. And with motivation, you have engagement. And this was never more important than last year, in the last 12 months, and you can see from this comment. As a student pursuing a degree in marine biology, it was disheartening and demotivating to anticipating a semester of online education. Katerina alleviated that frustration through reflective, engaging lectures and inspiring insight and enthusiasm for her field of expertise. Second, I teach. I rather say facilitate learning. I'm a massive fan of aha moments, when you can see the penny drop. And one way to maximise the number of aha moments is, of course, to teach things in multiple ways. But of course, in this, the most important aspect is actually the student-led questions that come. And this has always worked really well. So I did not feel as if questions I asked seemed strange or stupid, even if I did feel I was overlooking something presented in the content. Lastly, turning the tide. This is where I engage in, let's say, friendly group interrogation. And I might start by saying, so what do we know about X? And then I wait. And this is key, because that pause will eventually break. And once that silence is broken, I can then say, so does someone else have something to add? And so on, and we end up with a really great class discussion and clarification around X. But I then continue and draw that out further with, well, how would this affect Y? And what influence might this have on Z, etc. And by the end of the session, students have constructed what I like to call a web of knowledge. And this enables them to link all the different threads of information that they've gained and see it as a whole and how it interacts. And students generally enjoy this process. I liked being asked questions because it meant I actually think about what I was learning. It was great to see everybody encouraged to learn and be involved in each class. And I can't read that. I liked the fact that the lectures and workshops were interactive and participation encouraged. Now, I could have presented them with a neat, tidy summary of all the information, but it's the process of them building and creating the links and networks whereby the student can actually forge their understanding. This active learning process not only allows for greater understanding of content and improved recall, but also demonstrates that they now have the knowledge to teach someone else. And as we all know, one of the best ways to show that you understand something is to teach it. Thank you.
Thank you, Katerina. You'll be able to apply for the Learning Futures Award next year. I'm now very pleased to introduce, in case there's anyone in the room who doesn't know her, Dr. Amanda White. Amanda is the Deputy Head in Education of the Accounting discipline in the UTS Business School and has been part of the business school for almost 20 years. Now, you may have heard that there's something Amanda loves to do. Audit. Amanda loves to audit. And she puts her heart and soul into improving the student learning experience through the use of technology. Learning is a social and emotional journey for students, and she designs learning experiences with that in mind. Now, Amanda has been the recipient of a UTS Individual Teaching Award, numerous faculty awards, an AAUT citation for outstanding contribution to student learning. And in 2020, she was awarded the Australian Awards for University Teaching Excellence Award for Law, Business, Economics and related areas. Now, there are only 3 national teaching awards given out last year. So it's a wonderful acknowledgement of everything that Amanda does for students, that she was one of those 3 recipients. It is a really important award. It recognises Australia's most outstanding university teachers. It's about the enrichment of the student experience and the improvement of learning outcomes through innovation and quality teaching over a sustained period. So in the absence of a national teaching award ceremony, the Vice-Chancellor is going to present Amanda with her award.
Going to pop this over here.
And I forgot to say that Amanda is going to give the keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley, and to everybody here. I'm standing away from the lectern because I'm sort of short, and standing behind it makes me feel really closed in. So I'm going to try and keep to my 10 minutes. I can see the countdown, and there's a lot of pressure there. It's very authentic. So this quote here comes from The Courage to Teach, and it's the late Professor Tracy Brettag that introduced me to this book in 2019. And it just crystallised everything that I couldn't put my finger on that was why I wanted to be a teacher. That it's holding a mirror to my soul. It's that I'm bringing my whole self to my class. My students know about Audit Senior and Audit Junior, my two children, and how that fits into my life. And, they're not upset when assignment marks are late for 1 week because I've got 2 kids with gastro. So helping bring myself into the class, for me, is really important. And I thank Tracy for that. Unfortunately, she passed away last year. So when I was asked to give this keynote, people were saying, we want to hear about your story. So this is me, 18, 19, 20-year-old me. I wanted to be an accounting partner at a public accounting firm. And then on that track, I was doing my honours program as part of a research program, thanks to Professor David Brown. And September 11 happened. And I remember getting in a taxi to go to the airport. And the taxi driver said, "Are you sure you want to go to the airport?" I said, "Why?" And he explained what had happened. And that was a point in time that was a real reflection point for me. I thought, what am I doing? I'm helping big companies make a lot of money. And I read Dr. David Suzuki's book about superspecies and evolution. And I thought, I want to do more. I want to have real impact rather than help big companies make more money. I wanted to have that social impact. And it was then, I don't even think Dr. David Brown at that point, who said, come to university, this is where you can make impact. And I remember being at my first ever faculty retreat with my school, and I think somebody from IML was there facilitating a discussion about what did we see ourselves as when it came to teaching. And people were talking about content delivery and skills, and I said, I want to know my students. I want them to be able to come to me for advice. I want to be part of their learning journey. And I was poo-pooed on that idea quite a lot. It was, Amanda, in 2 years, you'll be as cynical as the rest of us. Every student is trying to screw you over. Everybody is trying to get the highest mark for the least amount of work possible. You don't want to get to know these people. And I'm really glad that I didn't listen to the people that gave me that advice. And I listened to the fabulous educators that I met across the university, people like John Tyler, who said to me, Amanda, teaching is so important. What you're doing is so important. You're representing young Asian women and what they can do in academia, in business and accounting. So it's really important to listen to the voices that tell you the positive things about being a university educator. It's not just the thing you do besides research. What we do has real impact. And so that advice, holding on to those nuggets, was really important. Now, I haven't attributed this to anyone because I guess I say this a lot, and I didn't get it from anywhere, so I guess it's me. I should have self-attributed. I don't know how that works within my academic integrity knowledge. But learning is not only a cognitive process, but an emotional one as well. Trust is required for students to invest emotionally in learning. And when they invest in emotionally, they are so powerful in terms of their learning. But today, trust is not automatically given to us as educators. Not only when I was a student, we just trusted the professor, we trusted the coordinator. So how do we earn it? And I wanted to share my journey about how we earn trust with generations today. And so the first one is considering student well-being. I've always been a big proponent of pastoral care. Every student, since I started teaching in 2002, has my mobile phone number, and I have not received one terrible phone call ever. I've received wedding invitations by text, baby shower, bridal shower invitations, but well-being is at the heart of what I do. It's the heart of building that trust, showing that you care about students. How was that job interview? Tell me about your work, and trying to relate that in. The other thing that helps me build trust is by being open. This is an Instagram story where I'd written a fantastic quiz for the wrong week. And then I had to write another one, but I was open with them that I'd made that mistake. I'm also open about, who I am as a person, that I'm a daughter of migrants, about my story. And the picture there is me and fried rice. And for anybody who's watching on the live stream, who's one of my former students, they will understand how fried rice comes into the accounting and auditing area. I'm also open with all of my resources, and I have UTS to thank for this. When I started making videos, somebody came to me from IT and said, Amanda, you're using all our bandwidth. Did you know every time a student presses play on one of your videos that's embedded in Blackboard, it downloads? And we get charged for that. So they said, put it somewhere else. And they were the ones who said, start a YouTube channel. So whoever that was in IT, thank you. So I'm sharing resources to help students, to help other academics at other institutions. We share all of our work on Academic Integrity Board Game. Thank you to Tyler Key and Emma Gogolewski, who are my students as partners in this project. This now is being used across many universities. It's Creative Commons. They've remixed it, they've reused it. It's fantastic. And also being open about my journey as an academic, when it's tough, when it's great, because not everything is smiles and awards. There's lots of times where things don't work. Which takes me to experimentation. I build trust by experimenting with my students. I'm always asking them for feedback. Sometimes I think they're sick of it. What did you think of this week's activity? Did it help you? Could it be improved? So we're always experimenting with our students. And I'm really excited to announce that in 2022, I'll be teaching the introductory accounting subject as part of the new revamped Bachelor of Business. And we are going to have students as partners, students as co-creators, and it's going to be one amazing experiment. You won't be able to hold me back. I'm going big bang wholesale change on introductory accounting. So I apologise to all the other disciplines in business if I do manage to convince all 1,600 of our students to come into the accounting major. The other thing that helps build trust is by building community. It's that reputational value. I always say to students, if you go to a job interview, don't be afraid to drop my name. I've taught almost everybody in audit across UTS for the last 15 years. My former students are partners, they're directors. And so I build community, and that means when I turn up to a conference, like at top left, people are waving me down. Amanda, let me tell you about what I've been doing. I needed auditors for an industry event. I put out a call on LinkedIn, and by the end of the day, I had 20 people who wanted to come and participate. William Tan is one of those who came through the U at Uni program, the first year of U at Uni program. We're so proud of him. And Camille Woods is one of my tutors now. So she's an industry academic that comes in to work with us. It also means that I really miss graduations. I don't know about anybody else. All the clapping, all the shaking hands, all the high fives. It's by creating that community. And I really rode the wave of social media. I have, 3,000 friends on Facebook. That's all my former students. LinkedIn. It means that if I need to connect students, someone's looking for a job opportunity, someone's looking for some advice on forensic accounting or what a career assessment centre is like, I can almost always find them an alumni to connect with. And that community flows through. Students come to my subject knowing what to expect, knowing that they're going to be looked after, that if they need help, they've got it. And even for my students that don't end up being accountants, I don't hold that against them. We can't all be awesome accountants. But that means I can leverage off those students and say, hey, do you want to share your story about how working at Arnott's as a brand manager, how you use accounting every single day in your job? So community to me is really, really important. And I love hearing good news stories from my students. I got a grad job. I got to the next level. I've just been promoted to partner. Oh my God, I've just been made CEO. So the CEO of ClickView is one of my former students. Oh, impressive. Oh, there we go. So the key here is that mirror from that quote at the beginning where teaching is a reflection of our soul, and we need to be willing to hold ourselves up to the mirror. And it's not always going to be pretty. Some days you try something and it's just not going to work. And you have to acknowledge that. I acknowledge that I make lots of mistakes. I tell that to my students. Talking about failure is talking about learning. And I'm really passionate about sharing that with my students. They say, Amanda, why is the quiz so hard? I say, because it's hard when you do it on your own, but hey, look, In a group of 5, you got 100% attempting the questions the first time around. And they see the value of learning from that failure and from reflection. I've revamped my subject. I think I've torn it to the ground and rebuilt it 3 times in 15 years, which I think is quite an interesting perspective. Now, I've got 1 second to go, so I don't know if it's going to start counting the other way, but what is my secret sauce? People often say, like, Amanda, how do you stay so optimistic after, this is my 20th year at UTS, and I was an undergraduate here as well, back in 1997. So I've been part of the institution for such a long time, but my secret sauce to staying optimistic, to staying passionate when it comes to education, amidst all of the doom and gloom that we often face in higher education, is to stay connected with your students. Staying connected after graduation is such a wonderful thing, even through their programs. Being open to change and accepting of failure. We don't talk about failure enough. We had a failure festival last year with the LX Lab, and people said it was just so great to talk about stuff that didn't work. It's so important to talk about the stuff that doesn't work. And then finding your community of practice. And at UTS, we have the LX Lab, and we have IML, and Kathy and the great first year experience, and first and further year experience, I should say. I found a lot of that community on Twitter. If you're not feeling that you're in that community, you're not getting that support, higher education Twitter is a fantastic place to be for new ideas and for support. And sometimes that's virtual, sometimes it's in person. I once cornered Carol Dweck of the Growth Mindset at an event. I just said, look, Carol, Professor Dweck, I'm just so excited to meet you. I just want to tell you about how we're implementing this for university students and what a difference it's making. So find those people, listen to those voices that lift you up, and ignore those voices that say teaching is just a thing we do. It's a thing to phone it in. It's a thing that, you just have to be barely passable at. Being a teacher is a great privilege and it's a great honour, and let's treat it like that. Thank you. Hopefully I wasn't too far over.
Thank you, Amanda. I think you've just given great evidence of the value of teaching and learning, and the excellent decision that was made by the Teaching Awards Committee from AAUT. Put your hand up if you've ever learned anything via a MOOC. Only a few people, that's surprising. I'll put my hand up because I do it about every 6 months just to keep an eye on what they're doing. Now keep your hand up if you've ever had the kind of experience that Amanda talked about, providing her students, building a community, building trust, being really concerned about you as an individual. And I think it was also a great example of personalised learning, which, as you know, and the Provost would have been very happy to hear that, as personalised learning is one of our initiatives. So thank you very much, Amanda. That lived up to all expectations. So thank you to all our presenters, and congratulations once again to our award winners and our citation winners. Now last year I had to send you all off home with a little box and a little tiny bottle of champagne, but today I'm able to invite you all out to the balcony room. But before we do that, I just want to thank a few people. I want to thank Philippa Scott, who works with me, and Mark Houston, and their team who've put all of this together. And I also just want to say a personal thanks to a lot of people in this room who just went to extraordinary lengths last year to keep teaching and learning going at UTS. So all the staff from IML who are here, thank you. And a number of the Associate Deans Teaching and Learning are here. I can see Lynn Sinclair, Julie Robert, Vince, I thought I saw Vince before. I did, Vince. Andy Lee from Science, and I saw Rob Jarman from Engineering and IT, and Bemla Hunt from the TD School, and Professor Peter Scott, who's PVC. So thank you this really is a team effort to keep teaching and learning going at the best of times. It takes a lot of work, but also during the pandemic. So my personal thank you. And again, thank you all for attending, and please join me in the balcony room for refreshments.